other job I want to do is I want to paint up these badges. These should be gold, like on this poster over here. So I don't have this exact colour. I don't want to keep away from painting so the castings of any other parts. So that gold is actually the same colour as this spanner here, and when you hold this together beside that, it's very much gold compared to this is a bit more orangey looking, but it'll still look nearly right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go with this gold, considering I have it here. So I had to mix it. So what I do, this is an old screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, the handle broke off it, so I put that in the drill and it catches it. So that's what I'm doing, giving this a good mix. It's a bit lumpy, it's not ideal, so I'm going to give it a go anyway and see how I go. Usually I take off badges like this. I actually have in a badge off one there. To paint the likes of that, normally I would take it off and I'd have it flat and I'd fill the paint in around the letter. So this, I tried taking it off. There is actually a sticker in behind it, kind of a sticky rubber kind of, and there's 3 rivets holding it on. So if I was to go prying that, I'd probably break the badge or definitely bend it. Same with the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the bonnet. I'm going to put it flat on one side, paint it, leave it overnight, do the other side, and then do the badge on the front of the bonnet then by sitting it down. It's going to be hard to have the front flat because it'll be very high, but I'll see what I can do. I might be able to do that. This is going to be purely experimental. If I don't like it, paint thinners, strippers, whatever will be used. I have plenty there. I'll take it all off again if I don't like the look of it. 10 minutes in and we're getting there. Paint is a little bit sticky and gloopy and lumpy, so I'm trying to mix it on the actual badge to try and get it a bit smoother, but I'll keep going the way I am. So the first effort, it's all done. Paint is vintage gold, so it does seem to have, as you can see, a darker kind of a grainy, kind of a metallic, we'll call it, added into it. And I found it very hard to get this to sit level, to actually level out, find its own level. I remember noticing that before, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hit it with a heat gun from a distance and try and get it just maybe, it might just help it level a bit. But it looks nice and vintage. It's not too fussy, it's not too shiny, it's not a solid colour all the same, and it has a bit of patina to it, so I'm happy enough with that. If the rest of them turn out that good, I'll be happy. And this is the front badge done in that vintage gold. The paint does not like spreading at all. It really needs to be brushed, and I didn't brush this paint on. I kind of just tried to fill it in, so it's a little bit lumpy here and there. So what I might do is when it dries, I might just try and touch it up a bit with a paintbrush. But it's far from nice from far. So I'm happy enough with that. So I still have to do the one on this side, so I'll put the bonnet on the side. And it's on the other side when that paint is dried, maybe tomorrow evening. And then when I have it back on, I can touch up a few of the lumps and bumps in it, try and level it out a bit. That is what I use to paint it with. Literally just drop the paint in and work it around. So, another small detail. From a distance it does look good, it stands out. That's what I want. So the third badge is painted. Turned out well. Unfortunately, this side of things were back stripping down. This thermostat housing is leaking, so I tried tightening it up a bit more, but I find me over tightening these, it does buckle them a bit. So I'm going to take it off, put it on a sheet of sandpaper, get it nice and flat. The reason why it's leaking is I had to take the cylinder head off again a couple of months ago. disturb the gasket, I only put Indian head on. So I'm going to make it a new gasket, a slightly thicker gasket paper, and that'll sort that out. That's the gasket starting to emerge. So tapping around the whole way around, and then get your little craft knife and cut it out. So I'm starting to just give this a bit of a clean, so I'm just going to do a slightly better job in that, because you can see that this is a bit low there. So this is nice thick gasket paper anyway, so it should definitely take up the slack. I had a slight leak there, so I took off the rocker cover. I'm just checking the valve clearance again once more. So we look at the rotor arm, so that's at number 1. I stuck in my screwdriver in underneath the starter, so that's firing for number 1. This is an 11 tau, so usually when I set these is exhaust to 12 and inlet to 10. So an 11, so I'd like to see it go nice and easily through the 12 tau, and then I'd like this to be tight. So just tight. You get it through with a pull. Just saves time, you don't have to be too fussy. So that's 1. So the next cylinder is 3. So starting handles in, turn over, onto compression, over compression, keep pressure on the screwdriver. 1, 3 is in. So usually what I do is have a feel first. Always worthwhile checking these. So exhaust, so this should be a little bit harder to go through, and it's not, so I'm going to tighten him, and this should be a little bit harder. So that is harder to go through. That's what you want, so that's most likely going to be closer to. I actually have run through these already, so I know well that they're all basically right. So just a smidgen tight. I see 12 tau there, so a little bit too tight. Loosen it, have a feel. That's what I'm looking for. Final tighten, try and keep your lock and screw steady. Keep that pushed down when you're taking your reading. So that's what we want, and this one then is just a little harder to push through, so that's closer to 10,000, that's an inlet, so that's what we're looking for. Again, I've done these with a 10 and a 12 tau already. I'm just doing the last check, so we're on 3, so the next one is 4. Turn until we feel the whole flywheel, it's in. Little rock first, it's always nice to try and feel these things. So we're looking for 12 there, this is an 11, that's going in nice and easy. And then this should be harder to go in. Again, that was already set with a 10, so that's 100%. Last one is cylinder number 2, so out with the screwdriver, start and turn over. 3, valve is closing. Screwdriver's come out. So that'll come up, and then in goes the screwdriver. So 1, 3, 4, 2. So have a feel. First, 12,000s we're looking for, that's going in easy, and 10,000s just starting, so that was already set. So usually what I do normally, and what I did last time, was I actually just put the fuel tank over the rocker shaft without the rocker cover and start it and run it. But because this was already set not too long ago, I'm just double checking, and as I said, it was just leaking a bit of oil there. I put a bit of Indian head on it. So back to number 1, so we're looking for 12,000s there, that goes in easy, and 10,000s there, that's just pulling through. So that is all good. So what I do now is I just give final tighten up. Always good to hold the lock and screw in the place it is. You don't want it, it can usually tighten a bit, that's good enough. It's always good to inspect this for oil as well, make sure oil's getting to it. That's why I ran it last time with the rocker cover off. Make sure it's taking a nip there. I was going to recheck him because I turned a bit there. I know I didn't turn with the screwdriver, but well, let's see. Err on the side of caution, as they say. That's tightening up lovely. Just the last little nip. No, he's okay. So, bit of Indian head in there. Put a little bit of Indian head all around it actually. You take out the brusher first, there's way too much on it, so you just let it drip off. This gasket now probably is reaching the end of its life. There's a new one hanging up there if I have to. It's getting a little bit hard. It's not soft and squidgy anymore. It's not. It's probably not sealing great. So I'll put a bit extra there. I'm going to put the rest on the actual rocker shaft, the rocker cover itself. That's her running now. Yeah, so I was having issues getting the valve clearance sorted. I think I wasn't pressing down on the rocker, the other side of the where you put in the we were checking the valve clearance, the feeler gauge. That does sound a lot quieter. And the leak in the thermostat housing so far seems to be sorted. So I'm just going to let it go up the temperature a little bit. See, I must put back on that. Have that there, it's no big deal. No fuel leaks there. Around the radiator hoses. Okay. Just to tick over down a little lower. That won't go down lower, that's interesting. So I know what's wrong there. I have to give him a twist on the governor. So I'll bring it back up a little bit. I like to have the battery just charging. What are we at? Just coming up to 600 revs. So give it a rev, let it back, and it doesn't want to go back. So yeah, when I took this off I couldn't get it back fully, so I'm just going to adjust that now and get that sorted. Now, quick adjustment. Twisting that lad to get that lever there touching the throttle rod, and she's back down to a lower tick over. That is about as low as I would like it to be. So we're not lifting on the temperature yet, it's only started, but give her a rev, make sure it's working. Yeah, nice and slow, a little bit more and more, and a bit more. Right back and see. And that's still up, so up she comes. I say you nearly should hear the fan belt over the engine, and when you bring it down that low you nearly can. that, you nearly hear the fan belt over it. So I'm happy with that. Quick adjustment of the tick over and another quick check which goes up the temperature of the thermostat housing, but I think we're nearly there. So this is the bonnet back on with the badges painted. I think they've turned out fairly well. They're slightly more goldy colour than the tractor, but since I don't have that gold paint, I think they're a fairly good attempt, and it did just stand out a little bit more than the paint of the tractor, so I don't think that's too bad a thing. Little bit of rust here and there, patina on the badges, no harm. And that paint is vintage gold, so it is a little bit rougher. Doesn't leave a very smooth finish, and I kind of prefer that finish myself. So it's turned out fairly well. So it's back in one piece. You heard it running. The valve clearance again sounds like it's after increasing, so there's an issue in there that I have to look into a little bit further. It sounded good when I started it, but then when it was ticking over after a while, I could start hearing the tappets. So maybe there's something sticky in there. I took out the valve adjuster. I took out the push rod. The push rod's not bent. Checked all the threads in the valve adjuster and they're good, both in the rocker arm and in the adjuster themselves. So it's not as if the threads are gone. I have seen some of them et before and I've had to replace them. So I'll keep an eye on it. It's no major big deal, but it's something that I'll just keep in mind, and I'll keep it close here for when it's running, that it's not getting much worse.